What's up, people? It is Thursday, Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday. What you throwing back today, huh? What you throwing back? Since it is the beginning of the show,
Yo.
Yo, what's up? Thursday. Let's do this. Oh, man. Last night was crazy. Let me tell you. So my parents, my parents, they come to my house. They've been hanging for like 3 days. And then last night, my mom got sick. And, my dad, here's the thing about my parents. They joke about death all the time. And it's weird. It's very weird, especially when they're getting to that age. My dad looked at me and said, "Your mom's dying. Your mom is dying in the other room." I go into the other room and my mom is like, "Oh, I'm so sick. I feel like I'm dying." And I know she's not really dying, but we don't know what's going on. Like my parents just got the 2 vaccinations. So COVID is not a problem for them. But my mom got really sick and my dad, his jokingness, because they talk crap about each other all the time. They love to just one up each other. And he started with your mama dying. And an hour later, he was like, "Yo," and all the jokes stopped. He's like, "Your mom might need to go to the emergency room." Then I got really worried. So my mom couldn't figure it out. See, here's the problem. She landed 2 days ago and she had Taco Bell. And then that just messed up her stomach. Taco Bell always messes up the stomach. Then I guess she just never recovered from that. But then she didn't know if it was worse. Like there was a lymph node that popped out that we got to get scanned later on today. So it was a lot of crazy stuff. But I'm happy to say she is 100% right now. She's 100% right now. A lot of you guys checking in right now. David, what up? He's a big Miami Hurricanes fan like me. I'm a huge Canes fan. Yow. What up? Look at that. Go Canes. Go Canes. Marvin Smith. Good morning. Yo. I was just playing that while I was working on the plane. I love it, man. I love it. Ken Lee, yo, my favorite dude. You helped me get my morning going with love. Love the pocket. Man, I appreciate all the love you guys coming in. Today I got a good one coming up. He's a funny comedian. I mean, the dude's big on Facebook, the dude's big on Instagram. I mean, but he's just a funny dude and a good dude. And this is how I knew he was a good dude. A lot of times when comics hang out in a green room, a lot of times they try to like size up the other comic. They try to size him up. Like, who's this guy? Oh, he gonna think he's something. And this guy just showed me love. As soon as he walked in, he just showed me love, man, and it meant so much. And I just moved out here to Vegas, and he showed me love in Vegas. So we'll be talking to Trixx here in a second. I got to go through all your comments first because I love giving you guys shout outs. Because every morning you wake up with me, man. We're growing. We started this thing with 30,000 people 2 months ago, and now it's over 182,000 people in just 2 months. I mean, you guys coming through. Well, actually, we just went on 3 months now. So I've been really only trying this Facebook thing for 3 months, and you guys have stepping up. Liza, good morning from San Antonio. And that's another thing. I love when you put where you're from. That really gets me going. You know what I mean? From San Antonio, much love. I'm supposed to perform out there later in the year, so I will let you know, Liza. Oh, just a bunch of hearts and trophies. I love it. Jose, just got my first shot today. That's what's up. Good evening, Evolving Blessed. Where you checking in from? Now, here's what's crazy. And I was looking at my numbers. Of course, my audience is growing in America, but for some reason, and I don't understand this, my numbers over the last month and a half have grown in Nigeria. And I was like, are these fake numbers? And then I looked at the people are actually responding to the podcast. So maybe this is kind of like a night show for them in Nigeria. I don't know what time. Let me actually look it up. What time is it in Nigeria? Let's see what time it is. 5:57. So it's 6 o'clock over there right now in the afternoon. So maybe this is something they watch around dinner time. I don't know, but the numbers and the big shout out to all the people from Nigeria watching. Man, it's growing out there. You guys are loving the show. Hey, I'll take it. Rose checking in from Westchester, New York. What's up, Rose? Any questions you have during the podcast? If I'm talking to Trixx and you want to ask a question, just pop it in the timeline. Just pop it in the timeline. Marvin Smith, my bad, yo, checking in from Seattle. I love Seattle. They closed the comedy club I used to go to. I went to the Parlor out there. They have another club, which was Joe Coy's home club. It is called Tacoma Comedy Club. Man, I love that club. It was fire. I only did it once, but it was fire. I do got to let you know about this. St. Louis, March 25th and 27th. I will be at the Funny Bone. It will sell out. I have a special guest that's going to come with me. It's going to be fire. And he's from St. Louis. And he's in a movie where an actress won a Golden Globe. That's all I can say. Because I don't want to announce him. I want him to pop up and you be like, oh, sure. So St. Louis, March 25th, 27th, funnybone.com. Get your tickets, michaelyo.com. And also a big shout out to our sponsor, Southgate Design. They do all my graphics. They do all my t-shirts. Okay. I promised you guys I was going to put together my store for Facebook, and I'm working on that. I had to order some more stuff because I sold out of all my stuff in Phoenix. I sold out of the Don't Talk About It, Be About It shirts and my Panda shirts. So I'm getting both of those back in stock, and we're going to have it on an online store. And I'm going to kick off the online store with a few giveaways. So that's going to happen probably end of next week or the week after for sure. I just got to wait for the shirts to come in now. Now, I love this next guy. About to put him on right now. Please welcome my boy, Trixx. What's up, Trixx? Yes, sir. What's up, my man?
Morning, bro. Good morning, bro.
You, my man. Do you not have lights in your house where people can see you, man?
The lights are on, bro. Okay, I'm just dark. I don't like how you brought that up right off the top. But
well, no, I mean, most people that do podcasts, they got a light in front of them, to kind of make them bright.
I do. I'm in front of the window. I got natural light in front.
Oh, okay.
I got natural light, and the light is on in my room.
Okay.
Can you not see me?
No, I see you, but do you see the difference in the screens?
Yeah, it's called one light-skinned guy's on that side, and a dark dude is on this side. That's the
okay.
You just gonna start it off with race. That's horrible.
Hey, man, I just want you to look your best. That's it. I'm looking out for you like you look out for me. That's it. That's it, Trixx. That's
all my Nigerian people that are watching this nonsense. You understand? To the Nigerians watching, you see how they do us, eh? The yellow people. Come on.
No, for some reason, I was talking about this. The people in Nigeria, like I see it they're starting to watch.
That's
and I don't know why this show's connected. Is 6 o'clock a good time their time in the afternoon to watch like web? I don't know what's going on.
You got people all over the world. Shout out to you, man. That's crazy. That's dope. Yeah. When you connect with different people all over the not just the country but the world. That's
the world, man.
That's dope. Like I trip when I get messages from like India or you know what I mean? Like that bothers my mind.
Look at this dude right here, Abhishek. He checks in every day from India. Speaking about India.
There you go.
Like this, and that's what's great about like we talk about social media on this show a lot. There's a lot of great things from social media. Look, there's a lot of bad too. But the great thing is you can connect with everybody in the world, That's what my favorite thing is, the fact that the love you get. You know what I mean? And how your jokes or how your persona or whatever it is you do on social media is received in different parts of the world. Like that's always been dope to me. Like when a person from the Middle East is like, oh my God, I love when you do your Chalet character, or somebody from Australia is like, man, you're funny. I've always thought that was cool, how you could kind of, what you do connects the world. That's crazy to me. Now, I'm going to be honest with you because I'm always honest with my audience. I don't know much about you. The reason why I wanted you on my podcast is, it's a dynamic when you walk into a green room. I just moved down here to Vegas. I was in the green room. At times, look, everybody's been cool, but at times people are kind of standoffish. And you were the dude that was like, yo, Michael, what's up? Show me love. And let me tell you, that meant a lot to me being in that green room for one of the first times at LA Comedy Club.
Right.
And that meant a lot to me. So I was wondering, for you as a comic, like, where'd you start? Why'd you get into comedy? Because honestly, this is our first time interacting.
Really talking,
talking. So I want to get to know about you, man, because that meant a lot to me.
So, well, first and foremost, the reason why I'm like that is because I used to be the other type of comic. that would come in, and we just automatically turn it into a competition. And, as you get older in this business, you start to realize, like, yo, the workplace is way better when everyone gets along. Like when everyone is just cool with each other, the workplace is way better. So I said I'd rather be the dude who just comes in and says what's up. Like we don't need to be in competition, man. We're not going to be famous tomorrow, man. You know what I mean? So why not just have fun breaking bread with your coworkers? That's just how I feel. So I started in Toronto, man. Toronto, Canada is where I started.
Are you born and raised in Toronto?
Born and raised in Toronto, man. And I was a DJ first. I was a DJ, and then I moved into radio, and then from radio, I was like, I always wanted to do comedy, but I was scared. Yeah.
Now it's interesting because we got the same type of seems like flight plan. I started as a DJ. I did radio for all my life. Yeah, I was at Y100 in Miami. I did a Kiss in LA. So I've done a bunch of different radio, and that launched me into TV, which launched me into comedy. When you made the transition, how old were you when you made that transition into comedy?
I started comedy late, dude. So I was
too.
I'm going to say late 20s, man. Like I was like 27.
I started at 34. I started later than you. But now, and maybe you feel the same way. Now that I look back on it, I would have been talking about basic stuff everybody talks about if I started earlier. Now I feel like I got stuff to talk about that nobody else is talking about.
Same. When I came in, I'm not gonna lie, I was, generic, man. I just wanted to be funny. So there was no substance to whatever I was talking about. I was, I just wanted to be the most funniest dude in the room. So I'm talking about Facebook, hacky Facebook jokes, anything, because I'm an observational comic. So there was, I didn't really tap into my personal life or my family or things that I could only talk about. I was just like, I want to talk about the stuff that everybody, and I was talking about MSN Messenger. That was like, we're talking about, that was like my first joke. And I mean, it was just making people laugh, but I noticed you weren't getting love from your peers because, comics don't like hacky people, But I also feel like the word hack is thrown around a lot because sometimes
it is. Now, let's talk about that word for a second, because this is what's interesting to me. And nobody can really put a definition on what hacky is, because I can be honest with you. You can go to every comedy club,
right,
and hear a comic talk about a dating app. Like you're going to have one comic talk about a dating app or a couple comics. Does that make it hacky because a lot of comics are talking about it? Or is there certain subjects that hack? See, that's what I don't understand, because I could watch big comedians talk about some stuff that they're talking about in comedy club. So what makes it hacky? What makes it not? And it seems like to me that if you're talking about your own personal stories, then it's not hacky because nobody else is sounding like that. What's your take on hacky?
Here's my thing, all right? I think hack is a word that jealous or envious comics use to deter you from what you're doing. And let me explain what I mean by that. There are some people who are very joke writing reliant on stage. If they don't have the writing, nobody wants to hear from them. And then there are people who can perform. And a lot of people who can perform, they may not be the strongest joke writers, but because they have the ability to perform, they get away with a little bit more because their personality is what draws people. So they can almost talk about anything. They can go up there and talk about pencils, and people are rolling. And comics who spend a lot of time writing don't grasp or understand how you're able to mesmerize an audience with your personality alone. So that's why they'll be like, oh, he's a hack, because they try to deter you from doing comedy that way. That's what I truly believe that, because I agree with you. I don't think anything is really hack. You know what I mean? I think there are, yes, cheesy, corny jokes, but we all are human beings. We all live similar experiences. You've been married. Other people have been married. So that's like saying, you know what? Okay, so many comics, Eddie Murphy talked about being married. So nobody could talk about being married. Eddie Murphy has easily one of the most classic ice cream jokes I've ever heard. And nobody's been able to do that joke. But if somebody comes along and does an ice cream joke, as long as they're not ripping off Eddie Murphy's joke, and they have a different take or different experience on ice cream, how are you going to call that person a hack?
You know, it's interesting. I have a joke that, you know, it after COVID, I'm not going to go into it, but I have a joke, and a couple comedians heard it, and then they were like, "Oh, well, I did part of that joke a long time." Now I don't watch. Here's the first thing. I don't. Hold on. You know where I'm going. You know where I'm going.
Yeah.
I don't. First of all, I don't watch comedians. Like, I could be honest with you. I've seen your funny. If you don't follow this man on Instagram, you have to too. What is your Instagram?
Comedian Trixx, 2 X's, or follow on TikTok too, man. My TikTok's different. Those Trixx is here on TikTok.
Yeah, so follow him, and we'll put all the information after the podcast in the bio. But a comic said, "Oh, I kind of had something like that one premise of one part." Now, this joke is like 7 levels. It's like 7 different stories in one. But they go, "Oh, I did that back in the day, just this on this one topic." But I had like 7 topics in one joke, and it was a deeper meaning to the whole thing.
Right.
And I go, in my mind, I go, yeah, but that was just a joke. I got a whole like story surrounding everything that has multiple levels. And they're going, "Well, I had something like that back in the day." And I'm like, "Oh my God." Like, come on now. Come on.
Here's what that is, Mike, that I've learned.
Yeah.
When you come off stage, this is how a comedian will try and deter you from doing a joke. They do it 2 ways. They either want to take the joke, and what they do is they'll say, "You know what? I got a joke similar to that." They don't got no joke similar to that.
Yeah.
No, they don't. What they do is they'll tell you that they got a joke similar to. If you're a young comic, it usually deters you from doing it, because when you're a young comic in the game and an OG comic comes up to you and goes, "Hey, that joke you did about cars, you know, I have a joke similar." Immediately you're like, "Okay, well, if Dave Chappelle got a joke about cars, I don't want to touch that joke because I don't want to be known as a joke thief." So that's the easiest way to deter you from doing the joke. Or they want to take your joke.
Yeah.
They can't outright go, "Yo, I want to steal that joke." So what they'll do is, "Hey, man, that joke you got about Facebook, you know, you said the Facebook, but I don't use the word the." Like, so the joke's the same, but I didn't say it the way you said it. That's just their way of saying, "I want to take your joke, you know, and hopefully I'm going to scare you into not doing it." Because the next thing you know, you watch them on stage, and now they're doing that joke all of a sudden. You've been watching this whole time. They've never had a Facebook joke, but all of a sudden you do your joke, and now all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, I had a joke like that back in the day." Crap.
But I also realized, since my stuff is so personal and it's wrapped around a story about myself, there's no way they could execute that joke. And I think that's when, like you said, when you're young, you're just trying to get laughs. Luckily, I was mentored by Joe Coy, and he never told me, like you said, tell generic jokes. Always tell jokes about yourself. And I don't know if I told you this, Trixx, because we came up with people outgrow jokes, but they don't outgrow you. So if they love you, they're going to keep coming back, because really a joke is just a quick laugh. But when they connect to you, you got them for life.
And you learn from one of the masters, man. Joe Coy, you know, he can still, to this day, he can still do jokes about his mom calling him Joseph. That'll forever be
Joseph.
That right there.
It's a catch. It's the McDonald's da 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 da.
But Joe Coy's an example. Joe Coy's a perfect example, because I'm pretty sure if you ever talk to Joe Coy, I'm sure when he was coming up, they tried to do that to him, because Joe Coy, I've seen Joe Coy in his younger days, and I've seen Joe Coy now, and he's always been hilarious. But I know Joe Coy was one of those guys who you were just drawn to his personality. The minute he got on stage, you're like, "Man, I want to hang out with that guy." You know what I mean? So a lot of comics, I know comics were like, "Yeah, man, that Filipino joke you did, you know, like, stop it. Look, man, just appreciate funny."
Let me tell you, man. Let me tell you this. When I first started, I would tell people he's my mentor, because he would take me out on tour, which I was so blessed to even be in that conversation, for him to go out, and I always appreciate it. But comics would say, "Oh, he's hacky, he's this, he's always doing Asian voices." I go, he's doing his mom. Like, that's how he grew up. You can't say it's hacky when that's his family. And this was like when I first started. I've only been in comedy 10 years. So this is when So I'm going up on my 10-year anniversary now. Nice. But you got to understand, I came up, it's almost like I was playing in the NBA before I even knew how to play. I was traveling with Joe. I was listening to all
early in your career, right?
When you have people like Russell Peters giving you notes, when you have people like Joe Coy, Chelsea Handler, Josh Wolf, like everybody that's big in the game today, that were like, hey, when you on stage, you got 90%, 60% of it done because people like you when you're on stage. Now you just got to figure out to be funny and tell your own story. So I was lucky in that part. But it amazed me when smaller comedians would come up to me and go, he's not really a comic. He's more of a performer. And I go, listen to this. I go, I've never, and I've been to Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, all comedians I love. But when I leave their show, I go, that was a great show. When I leave Joe Coy's show, it feels like a concert, like a rock concert. I've never had the feeling of, oh my God, that was something I've never, it was a spectacle. You know, you feel on a high, you know what I mean?
Well, first and foremost, I didn't realize how similar me and you really are, because I was given things early in my career as well. And here's the thing, and I'm not here to, crap on comics, but the reality of people in general doesn't even necessarily have to do with comedy. In life, when you represent something that someone's not doing, or you represent something that's, somebody wishes they had, they're always going to say and do things to you that's going to try and make you second guess what you do. It's not your fault that you're likable. It's not your fault that you were able to be mentored by some of the greatest comics out right now. That's not your fault, but because it happened to you and it didn't happen to them, and they feel like their road was harder, you know what I mean? They're always going to look.
I understand.
And so I try to be empathetic, because sometimes you have to know where it's coming from when people
100%.
are talking to you. You understand? Like if people are talking to you and they're like, I don't really look at you as a comic, you have to really listen to them and understand where it's coming from. And I know when it's coming from a place of jealousy or envy. I'm not the best comic in the world either. I'm not. I'm just, I love having fun on stage, but I was given things early too. I got to be mentored by Russell Peters. I got to hang out with big name comedians. I got to open for, Ari Spears in his prime when I was 2 years old. You know what I mean? And comics hated me for it. And you have to let these comics understand, like, you need to let them understand that, look, I am not going around professing to be the greatest comic in the world. I know I still have work to do. I know I still have to get better, but don't get mad at me because my blessings come quicker than yours. You know what I mean? Don't get mad at that.
And guess what? Their blessings could happen overnight. They release the right clip and go viral. Like, that's how easy. You know what I mean? So we can't judge each other, because I've seen comics I were ahead of when I first started because I had all this help now that have way exceeded me. So it comes and goes. You just got to know who you are and don't affect the outside noise. Now, I want to move past that because this is about you. I want to talk about like your first experience on stage, and were you a comic to really bomb one of the first times you were up?
Okay, so my very first performance, I did not bomb, but I have. It came maybe months later.
Yeah.
Because the thing about comedy when you're young in the game is this business is very easy to convince yourself you're better than you are, especially if you get things quick. So I went on stage. It was Yuck Yucks. I'll never forget. Yuck Yucks in Toronto. It was amateur night. And it's one of those things where you have to call a number, say your name, and you call the number again the next day to see if you make the show. It was just like that. So you could be a first-time comic calling this number, and you're on the show the next night. It was like that, and that was me. So I was terrified. But what I did was I put my friends in the audience, because I'm like, at least if I don't make everyone else laugh, I'll at least make my friends laugh. You know what I mean? And my bit, I didn't even have jokes, Mike. I had nothing. I had one joke that I wrote, and it was a bus stop joke, and I didn't have nothing else.
Do you remember it? Remember it? Tell it to me.
The bus stop joke was basically, I don't like when people ask me dumb questions at the bus stop. I don't know why the bus stop has been a place for like stupid questions. And a woman comes every morning and is like, did the bus leave? And I'm like, man, you know what? Yeah, the bus did leave, but I stayed. Okay, I stayed because I knew you'd be here. And I wanted to be the one to tell you the bus is gone now.
Okay.
So that was my joke. That was
I got you.
But I had nothing else. So a dude before me read his whole set off of paper, and he left a paper on the stage. So I went up and started roasting this dude for reading his entire set off of paper. I don't know what I can't remember what I said.
You kind of just blanked out.
But
it was your first time.
I spazzed. I was roasting. People were dying, and that just came from natural ability to be on stage from being a DJ.
Absolutely.
I'm used to being in front of thousands of people on the mic spinning records. So being in front of people is not a problem for me. Having stage presence wasn't a problem for me. So I did that, and I will never forget the host was like, yo, who the hell are you? And he made me feel like I was the man. You know what I mean? He made me feel like I was the man. You're so strong. You're a strong comic. This is your first time. You're going to go places. Just gassing me up. So and you know how this business is. Once you get things quick, if you don't experience the failures early, you start feeling yourself and like, yeah, maybe I am. I told you I was born for this. So when I bombed, it was that show. I call it the Act Right show. Every comic gets an Act Right show.
Yeah.
Act Right, where there's a show where either God steps in, karma steps in, and shows you, listen, young fella, you're not as good as you think, and I'm going to show you. So a dude was like, I saw you at the Yuck Yucks, man. I want you to headline this show. You got 15 minutes. Bro, I barely had 5. But my cocky ass was like, yeah, no problem. 15, I get to be on stage longer? Hell yeah. Bruh, first and foremost, not only did karma step in, man, Jerry D, who's a very big comic in Canada, shows up. They're like, hey, he's going to go on before you. Like, we all have that moment in our lives where like a big name comic shows up and you get bumped for that comic. That was mine. 4 months into comedy, I have a 50-minute set I'm not ready for, and here comes the man of Canada. They put him on. He torches the room. I got to go after him. Bruh, let me tell you something, man. When you don't have 15 minutes, it is the longest. Oh, my God. I was on stage, first joke, crickets. Second joke, crickets. And then, you know, the rookie mistake, went to the closer early. I'm like, okay, well, the bus stop joke works. Hit him with that. Get him on my side. The bus stop joke didn't work. I was like, oh, my.
So what'd you do for the next 12 minutes?
Talk. Just talk. And, you know, this is how nice Canadian audiences are. They don't boo you right away. What they do is they start talking. And they start talking, and they're like, we're going to talk amongst ourselves. Maybe he'll get the clue that we don't want to listen to him. And everybody just starts talking. I'm trying to talk louder. And then and no one's listening to me at this point. This is about 9 minutes in now. You know how you know you're doing bad? When the host starts making his way to the stage. You understand? When the host starts making his way to the stage.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you might want to just finish.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got the light, and they cheer. Man, when they cheer when you say you're leaving, oh my God. I didn't even make the 15 minutes, yo. All I just know, I came up that stage, and we're just happy to see the host. And you know when you do well, and the comics in the back of the room, you get, nice set, man, that was dope.
Yeah. And
all the comics just, you know, like in different directions, just walked away.
It was like roaches scattering.
They were like, don't talk to us. We don't know you. Don't touch us. We don't want to catch what you have, bro. What was that? I just sat in the corner. I'll never forget me sitting in the corner wondering if I should do comedy anymore. It was brutal. That was my act.
How long did it take you before you got back on stage after that? Next night?
Honestly, next week. But I studied. This time I actually took advice, because there's always that one comic that will be like, you know what, man, this is what you did wrong. And you know it's coming from a place of love where they're trying to help you get better. So I took his advice, and I just kind of regrouped, wrote some proper jokes, learned to work out jokes, and realized that you don't always have to be the funniest guy in the room.
You know what I love about comedy right now, and we say this a lot because I talk to comedians a lot on this podcast, is because of Dave Chappelle, and I mean, it started with Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, but now Dave Chappelle is really taking the torch on it. I love that comedy is actually, you say a real message, and if that message is funny, great. But if the audience leaves moved by it, that's even better. Because I remember talking to comics, and doesn't matter if they're leaning in to laugh or leaning in to listen and learn, you're still winning both ways. One is silent and one is laughter, but sometimes the silence can mean more than that laughter at the end.
I tell everybody that I go, one of the most commanding things I love is when I'm telling a story and you stop talking and it's like you could hear a pin drop.
I love that. But some comics can't handle that. Some comics, they get scared of the side, but that's when you know, when they do this right here.
Yeah.
Start leaning in.
That means they're invested.
Yes.
Because Chappelle's kind of transitioned into a comic who isn't necessarily trying to be funny all the time. He's got something to say.
Yes.
So we're so wrapped up in Chappelle. We love to hear his take on things.
Mm-hmm.
That's where and I think that's the real success of comedy, when you get people so drawn to you that now they want to hear your opinion on things.
Yes.
I wonder what Michael Yo would say about this. And then every time something happens, you release a special. Like Dave Chappelle's not even releasing specials anymore. He's just dropping like 15-minute sets on Instagram.
Yeah,
that's crazy to me.
But that, I mean, let's think about it. Like my next special I'm gonna shoot at the end of October is 30 minutes, and it's not even about the 30 minutes. It's about the clips you release. You know what I mean?
It's crazy to me.
It's a new game. It's a new game, and I really feel with Dave Chappelle just changing it. He takes it, like you said, a 10, 15-minute concept.
Yeah.
Worked out probably like 5 or 6 times. Boom. Here's my take on that. Boom. Here's my take on that.
We want to hear. Right?
Because we want to hear his take.
We want to hear him, but not every comic's like that. Like, I don't want to hear, no disrespect, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I'm not really going to run to hear Kevin Hart's take on real issues, because I don't look at Kevin Hart as that type of comedian. Kevin Hart is a guy I look to make me laugh. You know, he's silly and he's quirky, and he talks about his family. That's what I want to hear from him. Bill Burr is somebody I would love to hear.
Absolutely.
He has crazy opinions, but he's like he's this funny version of angry that I love, and I think it represents a lot of humanity, where he gets up and he's like this angry white dude, but what he's saying is so true.
What's great about Bill Burr is that he can say something that you're like, oh my God, he shouldn't have said that, and at the end of it, you're like, oh, I kind of agree with what he said, and that's the brilliance of Bill Burr.
Yes, and that's what I love, that kind of comedy where people not only want to laugh at you, but they really want to hear how you feel about things.
We got some comments coming in. This is from earlier. Nico says observational comedy is the best. I like it. And let me tell you something, Nico. I give mad props to these comics that can write. In 10 minutes, you'll hear 50 jokes. That's not me, but that is a skill, man. And if you can do that, God bless you. But to me, that's just something I can't even wrap my mind around, because I got to just tell real stories. Andrew Singer, what's up, buddy? He says, great comedy advice. Thank you both. You got it. If you guys want to get in a comment and you're watching right now, just drop it in the comments. If you have a question for Trixx or me or comedy or anything, any pop culture thing that's going on, we'll give our take. Evolving Blessed says, happy Thursday, guys. Got to run. I'll check out your shows. Take care. Much love to you. Much love to you. But that's the whole thing right now is, look, nobody's ever, like Dave Chappelle's the pinnacle right now. Bill Burr's the pinnacle. But they're even trying to get better every time. And that's the thing is, I feel once you see, I had a friend where he did the same set for 10 years because he was scared of not getting laughs. And I've reached a point in stand-up where, and this is no disrespect to the audience, but if they laugh, great. This is more for me and getting out the message I want to get out and finding those people that want that message. Like I will always, like, when an audience comes, I'm gonna give them my best stuff. But the laughs now is like I'm working out to find the true message. And if you're on board, you're on board. And if you're not, you're not.
I agree.
Where before it was all about I need your laughter. Now it's not like that anymore. And that's the transition of, I feel, being a young comic and then becoming like not a veteran. I'm only 10 years in, but starting to earn my wings. You know what I mean?
Well, I've seen you perform, and I could tell why you probably get some of the hate that you get. It's the same reason I get some of the hate that I get. I watched you do a set at LA Comedy Club, and I'm like, yeah, like as soon as you get on stage, people just like you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you could feel comics hate that because they're like, man, like, you know, I gotta go up, I gotta write jokes for a whole hour just to get this love. But he just took the mic out of the holster, and everybody's just locked in. That's just it. That's a talent. Listen, that few comics have. Like, they're just so likable. They make the crowd love them in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that. An OG comic said that to me when I was starting out. He was like, you got 10 seconds to make that crowd like you. 10 seconds, this crowd's trying to make their mind about who you are. Is he an asshole comic? Is he a good comic? Is he a mean comic? Is he a nasty comic? They're all making up their mind in 10 minutes. So if you come up there and you could say something as, what's up, white people? Just something like corny like that. And they're like, oh my God, I love this guy.
That's our dude. That's our dude.
It's an infectious thing. Some comics come up there and they're all miserable, and it just shows. And they come up there, the crowd's not big, so they're not happy, or that it's a 12-person crowd, and they take the mic out and they just got this energy about them, like they don't want to be there. Crowds can read that.
Oh yeah.
And then there's you. You come up there with your smile, and you're like, hey, and everyone's just like, yo, we're gonna have a good time. I like this guy already.
You know what's interesting is small rooms I love, because it kind of, if you can rock a small room, you can rock any room. But what I feel is those are the rooms that make you grow, because and this goes to my point, it's because it's not about the laughter. You're going to get giggles because people laugh harder when there's more people around.
Absolutely.
But if you can rock a small crowd and make them laugh, it just makes you a stronger comic. If you can deal with getting the instead of the huge laughter, take that as a win, because if there's more people, it's going to be like really big. And that's what I love. I love going into. I used to go to Melrose Improv. They got this room called the Lab, and every comic knows that's the room where comics go to die. Like literally, if you want to eat shit, you go there.
I love that room there.
And I love it. I love
it.
going in there where only 3 people in there, and you have to talk to them, and you got to get them on board, because if you don't, they're just kind of hanging out and you're on stage.
Humbling. Like, even I remember LA, the Comedy Store. When you're starting out in that room in the Comedy Store, the building itself, sometimes you're doing sets at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And you're doing it to people that have been there the whole show. They done seen all their favorites. They're tired, but they're there because they don't want to go home. There's like about 8 people in the audience, and you're up there 2 o'clock in the morning. People are half asleep. I remember one time I was telling jokes, and Jason Weaver, the actor, was in the audience, and he was asleep. He was asleep to the side. His friend had to nudge him up. And I'm telling jokes, and I'm like, man, even Jason Weaver hates me. But I love that, because even early in my career, I used to be afraid of those rooms. I'm not gonna lie, because I was so used to roaring laughs. But as you get older and you tour with other comics and you hit the road, there's an appreciation for smaller rooms, because it's a challenge, right?
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge, and it's always something to work on. I like that aspect of comedy, as opposed to things I don't like layups. I like dunks. But it's harder to dunk. You got to work on dunking. You know what I'm talking about? So I love those small rooms, because it teaches you how to deal with different measures of laughter. It teaches you to deal with circumstances too, how to deal with people who are asleep. If you can wake a sleeping person up and make them pay attention to you at 2 o'clock in the morning, that's a win in itself to me.
Absolutely.
That's a win.
You know what else it teaches you? It teaches you how, because different sizes of room, like when I'm in a smaller room, I'm not as big as I am in front of 500,000-600,000 people. Like, you really gotta all right, guys, we're here together. You can still have your personality, but you can't be yelling and stuff like that, because the people are like, yo, we right here. There's only 5 of us, 10 of us, so it teaches you how to kind of I remember when I was young, no matter what the size of the room, I would perform the set the same way. Now it's like, oh, I can't do that. If it's a smaller room, I'm just like more personal. If it's a bigger room, yeah.
Better. It's more intimate. I've always appreciated. That's why with this whole COVID thing going on, I've learned to appreciate smaller rooms. I know, like, we've been doing it for almost 6-7 months now, where we're in front of small crowds, 20 people, 30 people, and I've grown an appreciation.
I love it.
Learning how to be intimate, I think, is way better.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can rock a room.
And speaking about LA comedy, our boy Brett I think he might be shooting Karate Kid.
So he's
so you're there Tuesdays and Wednesdays now for the next couple of weeks, right? At LA Comedy Club in Vegas. All right, make sure you go check out Trixx. And Nico has a question. Do you think comedy has a creative license to joke about anything? What's your take on that?
I know people always say, they always use the realm of comedy to be like, man, I'm a stand-up comedian, I can say whatever I want. You can. I do think you can joke about anything if you are prepared to deal with the consequences of what you talk about.
Like I said, we talk about this all the time on the show. You have the freedom of speech to say whatever you want, but you have to be ready for their freedom of speech to come back at you.
Ask Ari Shaffir, right?
Yes.
Ari Shaffir, when he went off on Kobe, and it was smoke that I don't even think he was prepared for. But, and people ask me about that. They're like, how'd you feel about that? I was like, listen, that's what he does. That's the type of comedy he does, and I'm not opposed to, I'm the last person that'll ever go against somebody having freedom of speech. But you need to be prepared. If you're going to talk about rape, if you're going to try and make rape funny, then you better be prepared to deal with the smoke that comes with that. Me personally, I stay away from things that, one, I'm not educated about, two, I don't feel is funny, and three, I don't want to deal with its backlash. So I just stay away from certain topics. I don't have rape jokes because I don't think rape is funny.
Yeah, me neither. And I also think, like, we as comics, you find out what you're good at.
Right.
I'm not good at certain parts of comedy. Like, you got some comedians that can talk about beating women or have a beating women bit and make it funny, and but they're just word masters at that craft. Like Bill Burr, the whole thing about hitting a woman, they know you can't hit them, and then he really breaks it down and goes into detail about it.
But his bit was good, though.
It was amazing. But you have to go to that level if you're going to talk about a topic like that, because if you don't, then it just surfaces, and then people can attack it. And even when it's thought out, they still can attack it.
I personally I'm a person that, I won't talk about something unless I have a viewpoint on it. Because I feel like that's how, when I write, that's the easiest way to write. I need to have a take or a point.
Absolutely.
So if I don't have a take or a point, I'm not just going to talk about it just to talk about it. So if you can make, like, Bill Burr's joke about beating women, he's not advocating the act. He's not endorsing the act.
He's talking about why you can't.
He's like, he has a problem with someone saying that there's never a time where however the joke goes. But he has a viewpoint.
Yeah.
And he could express that viewpoint to the point where even women will sit there and be like, I see what he's saying, and it's kind of funny what he's saying. I don't like what he's saying, but I could kind of, even Patrice O'Neal was the master of that.
Yes.
Patrice O'Neal, I worked with Patrice one time. And I watched that guy torch women for 30 minutes. Their self-esteem. He went in on women to the point where they were standing up. This was New York. They were standing up, yelling at him. And by the end of the performance, he got a standing ovation. Because he's not just saying things to shock you. He has a legitimate viewpoint on how he feels. So when he comes with a premise that has smoke, he's ready to defend himself because he has a viewpoint. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not mad at that. I respect that. I respect the hell out of that. But me personally, I can't do that.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much on the same page of that. Let's see. What about hecklers? Have you had a hard time with drunks and obnoxious people?
My theory is this. If I'm in a comedy club and there's a heckler, it is the comedy club's job to police the room.
Yes.
I was part of the whole Tom Segura fiasco, where, do you remember that?
No, tell me about that. I
Do you
forgot.
remember Tom Segura telling a story about his epic bombing in Winnipeg?
No.
Story? Okay, and then they were like yelling, "Bring back the black guy." I was the black guy.
Wow.
This is
Okay.
And this
How
is where
long ago was this?
this was about, I'm gonna say 6 years ago.
Okay, so Brett, I've never heard this story.
So if you go to Tom Segura tells it on his podcast. He actually replays the night. He has the audio, and then he tells it again on Rogan. So what happened was Tom Segura, it was early show Saturday, a fundraiser rented out the whole room. And so it wasn't your typical comedy crowd. There was still regulars, but for the most part, it was this fundraiser. And Tom Segura was telling his jokes, and these people were talking. This table was talking. And he just turned, and he went after the table. And he had said something about the table that kind of rubbed the audience the wrong way. And then he got into it with one guy here in the front row. And, he wanted the guy kicked out. And then the club didn't kick the guy out only because he had a whole table of people. So now this whole audience turns on him, right? Because Tom got mad at the audience and he let it out. So because he unleashed his fury, they unleashed it back. And they were like, "Bring back the black guy." Boo! It was anarchy. Waitresses were crying. People were lining up to get their money back. It was anarchy. Wow. And the only reason I got to go back on stage, there was even a moment. This is why I know Tom Segura is a G. You know when like a pitcher is pitching badly and then the manager comes out to talk to them, and that's like the signal for the pitching change. The manager goes up to Tom mid-show, and they're having a conversation on stage, and Tom Segura goes, "The manager wanted me to bring back the black guy, but I told the manager, you guys want more of me." And they got so mad. So now they're booing him, and it's just complete chaos. And the only reason he brought me on stage was this woman who's organizing the fundraiser came up and pleaded with the audience and was like, "Listen, can we just do something to just salvage the night?" You could tell she just really just wanted to have a good time. So he brings me back up. I finished the show. Now, the point of the story is I don't talk to hecklers because of that happening. Because it's very hard to stop your show, talk to a heckler, get mad at the heckler, make it all awkward, and then jump back into jokes. That's not going to happen 90% of the time. The artist is going to be like, "Yo, I thought you were a comedian. I thought you could handle stuff. I don't know if I like this guy no more." You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I got you.
So I personally, I don't talk to hecklers. I'll talk louder than you, and if it gets to a point where it's too much, the club needs to police the room.
Because here's what happens is it just kills the momentum of whatever's going on. Yeah. It's almost like when some person on your Instagram or social media leaves a mean comment and you answer that, now you just added fuel onto it. Now they're just going to keep going. So by you acknowledging it, you're adding fuel that, oh, they're winning. So that's what I ignore it as well and try to move on.
That block button is a special button. All right. Y'all,
the stage block button.
Get familiar with the block button. I do not engage. I used to do that because there was one time I had a girl say to me, and it was the realest thing she ever said. She goes, "I want you to put this in perspective. Why? Look how many comments you get that say they love you and you got them through their day. All these positive comments. You never respond to those comments. And then one person comes along and says you're not funny and you want to spend 2 hours beefing with this person. Why don't you give that love to the people that show you love? Why do you always give energy to people? Why don't you just block it? Don't ignore the positive comments. Ignore the negative ones.
Yeah.
Just block them. Just block them.
We spend so much time going back with the negative, but never address the positive.
Positive guys.
Another question coming in. I got to try to figure this one out. Trixx, how do you handle advertising in the comedy industry? What I think Lamar Parker is saying, like getting your name out to comedy clubs so you can keep being booked.
Okay, if that's what he means.
I don't really know what he means, but I'm guessing.
I'm going to guess. I could be wrong. Sometimes comics get flack for promoting too much on their social media, and other comics will try to deter you from doing that. I don't know if he's talking about that. In terms of advertising, period, it's very, very important to let your fans know where you're going to be. Because if you're trying to grow a fan base, then you got to let people know when you're coming.
Oh, you mean like this? St. Louis, March 25th, 27th, I'll be at the Funny Bone. Is that what you're talking about?
Hell yeah.
St. Louis, March 25th through 27th, Funny Bone.
Say it again, Mike, yo. Say it again.
Oh, well, hold on. Did you miss that? St. Louis, March 25th through 27th, I'll be at the Funny Bone. I think that's what okay. All right, no, go ahead.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So my point is, advertising, social media has given us an amazing platform, because I come from the days where you had to hand out flyers in the cold.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about you had to email. You got to get an email list, send that out. Now Instagram, TikTok, Facebook has just given you a platform where you can promote to thousands of people with just one click of the button. You need to advertise yourself. There is never, do not let comics tell you you are advertising too much. You need to let people know where you're going to be, and you need to build your fan base. There's no wrong with that at all.
Now, speaking about where you're going to be, because we gotta wrap this up, but I definitely want to have you on again, because we barely scratched the surface. Where are you going to be in? Are you going to be anywhere?
Yeah, this weekend, Friday, Saturday, I am at Looney's Comedy Corner in Colorado Springs.
Looney's Comedy Corner, Colorado Springs. Okay.
I'm going to be there Friday, Saturday. So anybody in the Colorado area, Colorado Springs area, come check out your boy, man. Come hang out.
All right, man. And leave all your handles. Where can people hit you at?
At comedian Trixx, 2 X's. That's on Instagram. And follow me on TikTok at Trixx is here.
Trixx is here. All right, Trixx, man, we're going to catch up soon. I appreciate the love that first time when we met. And we'll do this again, man. Like I said, we barely scratched the surface. We got a lot more. So,
yes, sir.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon. All right, bro?
Peace, everybody.
And get a damn ring light or something for your house. All right.
I'm going to get a better light for next time, I promise.
All right. Bye. All right, dude.